The 10 tribes were scattered among the nations. They lost their land, their language, and even their identity. They became known as the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But the story doesn't end there. Even though he punished them, the Most High never gave up on his children. He made a promise, an oath, that one day he would bring both kingdoms back together again. He would forgive them, clean them, and make them one family again. Ezekiel 37:22 says, "And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more 2 nations, neither shall they be divided into 2 kingdoms any more at all." He even told us this reunion would be like a marriage restored, like a broken home finally healed. Jeremiah 31:31-33 says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah." He didn't say with the world or with the Gentiles. He said with Israel and Judah, the 2 broken parts of his family. When Christ came, he said clearly in Matthew 15:24, "I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel." Why? Because he came to start the family reunion, to find the scattered ones and bring them back under the covenant. That's why Paul said in Romans 11 that the natural branches, Judah, and wild branches, scattered tribes, would be grafted back into the olive tree. The reunion is still happening today. The Most High is waking up his people all over the world, calling the lost tribes back to their identity, their laws, and their king. Final dummy's point. This story is not about everyone. It's not about the whole world. It's about one family, the 12 tribes of Israel, who got broken, scattered, punished, and are now being gathered again. The family reunion is coming, and if you're Israel, you've got a seat at the table. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. A wake-up call for blind leaders and lost followers. Matthew 11:15 says, "He that hath ears to hear, let him hear." That sounds simple, right? But it's one of the deepest warnings in Scripture. Yahawashi wasn't just talking about physical ears. He was talking about spiritual hearing. In other words, only those who are chosen to understand will actually understand. Today, millions of people are reading the Bible, preaching sermons, building churches, and leading ministries, but they are still spiritually deaf. Why? Because they don't have ears to hear. They've been blinded by false doctrines, Christian lies, colonized theology, and universal salvation. These people are quoting scriptures, but they're teaching lies. They read Paul, but think he was preaching to the whole world. They read about Gentiles, but never ask who those Gentiles really were. They preach about love and grace, but never mention that the Most High only made covenants with Israel, Romans 9:4. Here's the truth. Most people cannot see because they were never meant to. Yahweh said in Isaiah 6:9-10 that he would make Israel blind and deaf on purpose as a punishment for rebellion. He said, "Hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not." Even today, people love the feeling of religion, but they hate the truth. They want church, but not commandments. They want salvation, but not identity. So Yahweh gave them over to spiritual sleep. That's why every ministry, no matter how big or small, will be tried with fire. Not literal fire, but the fire of judgment and truth. If you're teaching lies, if you're feeding the sheep poison, the fire will burn up your work. Paul warned about this in 1 Corinthians 3:13. "Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire." So it doesn't matter how many followers a ministry has. It doesn't matter how loud the preacher shouts or how fancy the building looks. If the foundation isn't truth, if it's not built on the real gospel of Yahushua for the lost sheep of Israel, then it's going to burn. The Most High knows who his true teachers are. They're not always on TV. They might be in the streets, online, or in small fellowships, but they teach with clarity, order, and Scripture, line upon line, not watered-down lies. And those who are proud, those who reject correction, mock the prophets, or cling to man-made doctrine, they will disappear from among the true body. Just like dross in the fire, they'll be removed. Final dummy's point. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear means, if you understand this truth, it's because Yahweh opened your ears, so don't ignore it. Ministries will be judged, pride will fall, but truth will stand. So ask yourself, do you have ears to hear?